A lighthouse beacon is just a pointer. It's no substitute for navigation skills. The work is self-inquiry. That means that nothing outside of me is directing me as I look for my truth. This is kind of an unusual concept because we're so used to going to teachers, looking for wisdom outside of ourselves, people that already have it, that can give it to us. And the work is a little bit different. It's self-inquiry. It means that nothing outside of me is directing me. I'm looking for my own truth. Even the 4 questions and turnarounds of the work are just pointers. They point back to myself. They point me to look where I hadn't thought of looking. The 4 questions and turnarounds are a huge help in self-inquiry. It's kind of like looking in a mirror. Just keep pointing back, pointing back. And by doing that, I can see things about myself that I hadn't noticed before. But the moment I rely on these questions or these turnarounds and do so without thinking, without checking in with myself at each step, then that is the moment when I'm no longer doing self-inquiry. Instead of seeing the turnaround as assistance in the process of self-inquiry, I'm elevating the turnaround to the status of teacher or even dictator. Instead of checking with myself to see if what I'm finding is true for me, I'm back to the old way of trying to do it right and following others blindly, which is a million miles away from true self-inquiry. So this is a really, really important point. Turnarounds don't tell me what to do. The work doesn't tell me what to do. The work is just saying, hey, what do you think? That's all it does. It just asks me, what do you think? And then I have to go in and check and see, what do I think? But if I use it as some kind of teacher or some kind of thing that's telling me what to do, then it can get confusing. Luckily, we all have a built-in self-correction mechanism. If a turnaround points me towards something that seems off to me, or that makes me feel more stressed, my correction mechanism kicks in, and I notice that it doesn't feel right. And this is when I stop and I look more closely. If I don't do that, then I'm just going to be blindly following my turnarounds, and I could be getting out of touch with myself instead of more in touch with myself. So this kind of feeling off, something doesn't feel right when I'm doing the work, could be coming from 3 different possible places. First of all, the turnaround itself could be off. Very possible. Just because there's a turnaround does not mean that it's true. So if the turnaround's off, then my self-correction mechanism has caught it. Great, okay. No need to pursue that any further. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me, so I skip it. The other possibility is that my understanding of the turnaround is off. So I may be interpreting the turnaround to mean one thing, and that doesn't feel right. But there may be another different interpretation that fits both the turnaround and my experience. And so sometimes sitting in that turnaround and just thinking about it differently, what does this really mean? What could this mean? That can often make a turnaround that didn't seem to make sense actually start to land with me. So sometimes it's just my understanding of the turnaround. And then the third thing that could be causing this sense of, oh, this is off, or the turnaround's making me more stressed, or I just don't like this turnaround, is that I could be up against a very deeply entrenched belief that I have about life or about my own experience. And naturally, I'm going to feel a lot of resistance if a turnaround starts to stretch me out of my comfort zone. So I often have to sit with turnarounds like this for a while before I can stretch enough to actually meet them completely. And that can be a process. I may start on a turnaround and leave it and come back another day, or I may just leave that piece of work and then come back to a similar piece of work later. And over time, I start stretching little by little, and that is part of the process. So the bottom line here is honesty. Do I honestly see this turnaround? Does it make sense to me? Does it land with me? Do I feel it? Or am I faking it? Or am I rejecting the turnaround out of hand? All of these are possibilities. But the only way forward in self-inquiry is to keep landing on my honest experience. If a turnaround stretches me and I honestly can find something bigger than what I had originally seen, then wonderful. Let me enjoy that new stretched experience. It's real for me. But if my honest truth is that I don't resonate with a turnaround and I can't find the truth in it, then that's fine too. I'd rather be honest about it and maybe spend some more time considering it from different angles or moving on to other stressful thoughts that I can work and find something that does make sense to me. My only job is to stay true to myself as I do my work. When I do that, I can navigate anywhere, using turnarounds as clues while I find my own way. For me, self-inquiry means there's a bit of a question mark, and Byron Katie uses this term, a little question mark after everything. I love that way of expressing it. So self-inquiry means there's a little question mark even after every turnaround. The question is it true? Yeah, it's a turnaround, but is it true? I want to know. I want to find out for myself. I'm not just going to blindly believe some turnaround just because it popped up in the process. So the question of finding turnarounds, finding examples of turnarounds, is actually asking me to get in touch with my own experience and see what I can find. But in the end, self-inquiry is something where everything is up to me. I am the final decider on what is true, what makes sense, what I take and what I leave. And if you're interested in going deeper in the work, then that's what I created the Inquiry Circle community for. So I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie from her book, A Mind at Home with Itself. But when you allow each thought to be met with, is it true? Life will show itself to you. Eventually, you find yourself ending every thought with a question mark, not with a period. You're able to rest in the never-ending enlightenment of the don't know mind.